It's once again time to get you hooked. Welcome inside another edition of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. New podcasts drop every week, anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find us anywhere on social media at the Stampede UT. Great show coming your way today. Vince Young's going to get into mandatory minicamps and what that looks like for players around the country as they get some of their NFL careers started, and then what the veterans feel like as they come back. We'll also get into the Brendan Sorsby issue with Texas Tech, and Coach and Vince will give their opinions on what's going on in the world of college football. But as you can see, most importantly, or as you can hear, we have an incredibly special guest on the show.
My guy.
Alongside Mack Brown and Vince Young, I'm Bob Ballou. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Stampede, and we welcome in the all-time leading rusher at the University of Texas. More touchdowns than anyone ever at the University of Texas. He was a coach after his playing days.
Yes.
He has a company called Heisman, which we will get into in a minute. Highsman. He's an astrologist. He's a dad and a granddad now. He goes by the name Eric Myron, but you guys know him as Ricky Williams. Ricky, cannot thank you enough for taking some time today to talk with Coach and Vince. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Well, thanks for joining us. You guys, where do you want to start? Because I know you guys have a million questions that you want to ask Ricky. Vince, kick us off.
Oh, man, where can I start? This guy is just unbelievable. I love him to death. He got the biggest heart in the world. Pretty Ricky. I just want to say thanks for coming on the show, big guy. I love you so much, man. And you know, me and you, we be everywhere together. Some way, somehow, they book both of us at the same time all the time.
Wonder why.
Together, Ricky, when he invites you.
No, he's always invited. Ricky don't invite nobody. You just got to happen to just be there.
Bob, let me say that these two have probably done as much to change my life as anybody in my 50 years of coaching. They've got great hearts. They're tremendous athletes. They were leaders. When we got to Texas, we're 4-7. Ricky's a #1 draft pick. He's playing pro baseball. He's trying to decide whether to stay or come back for another year, which to this day, I'm not sure why he did. We weren't any good. We were awful on defense. And we sat there, and I'll never forget when my first meeting, I come in, and one of the players, I think it's Tony Holmes, said, "Can you get Nike shoes?" That's all he wanted. And then Ricky sat in the back, and he got up and walked out as soon as the meeting was over. Didn't come by and speak, didn't say hello, and I thought, if we're dating, that's not a good sign. Because he didn't stay around to hug my neck and say, "Hey, glad you're here," and all that. So then we have our meeting, and come to find out, we had a rule at North Carolina that you couldn't wear dreadlocks. And Ricky was at some he was at these awards banquets with some of our ex-players, because we had some great players at that time. And they said, "You'll love Coach. He's a player's coach, but he's not going to let you wear that crap on your hair." So Ricky was really passionate about his dreadlocks. And my thought at that time, again, was if it's my son, older white people are going to hire him. And there was this bad thing about dreadlocks at that time. So I thought it was best for the players not to wear them. So Ricky comes in, we're sitting down. Greg Davis had already said, "Before you make a decision on his hair, go watch his video. It's really good." Bruce Chambers is sitting there, and I just hired a high school coach coaching, which seems kind of crazy. And Bruce is one of the nicest human beings in the world ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there with Ricky, and I said, well, he told me the story about the North Carolina player saying, "This is about my hair." And I said, well, give me a reason you need to wear it, religion, or he said, "No, Bob Marley. I just like Bob Marley music." So that was it. Sally said, "I think it looks really cute. I think it's really cute." So I'm sitting there, and I said, well, here's my problem. And I told Ricky why we didn't have it at North Carolina. And I said, so, because I want you to be able to get a job when you get out. I may not get this perfect, but Ricky said, "I'm not going to need a job." I thought, well, that's fair. And then number two, I said, "But you may not win the Heisman because you got old white voters that are going to be voting for the Heisman." He said, "Coach, if they're going to vote for what your hair looks like instead of who the best college football player is, I don't want to win the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, what you need to start doing is looking at the heart instead of the hair. And that taught me a lesson. And from that day forth, I said, we got it. And Ricky can clean the story up. And then Joe Walker was on the team, and Joe wasn't as good as Ricky. And Joe came in and said, can I keep my dreads too? And I said, no, you're going to need it, Joe. So you got to prepare with what you do. Ricky, is that pretty close?
It's really close. It's really close. And it brings out a couple of things of why I stayed, actually. When I made a statement, we played A&M the last game of my junior year, and the rumor was if we lose the game that John Mackovic would be fired. And John recruited me, brought me in, so I had a bond with him, and I thought it mattered, but I said, if John Mackovic gets fired, I'm going to the NFL. That's what I said before the game. And it didn't matter. The next morning, we lost A&M, and he was fired. And a couple of days later, we had to go to a meeting where we introduced to Coach Brown. And I did sit in the back with my arms crossed, thinking, who is this guy? I'm out of here. It doesn't matter. And going on to the different awards banquets, Dre Bly was the main guy. Me and Dre got really close, and Dre was giving me the download on Coach Brown. And that conversation, there's two conversations that changed everything. The first one was the one when you called me in your office and the one you were talking about. But the part you didn't mention is you said, you might stay, you might go, but you've been here 3 years. You probably know the most about the team. And so it must have been an hour and a half of just me kind of going through what I thought about the team and what we needed. And the next day I started to see some of the things I said that you listened, Coach, and started to implement some of the things. And I felt, for the first time in my career, I felt empowered as a leader. So that was one thing where it made me a little bit more interested. And another time, the other meeting, probably more powerful, is the time I was dating this young lady named Jamie, and we had lunch at Hyde Park Cafe, and it's you and Sally. And it was a simple moment, but we picked up the menu, and I don't have my glasses, and then you handed the menu to Sally and said, you can order for me, and for me, I have always had this ideal about marriage or partnership. And there was something about the interaction between you and Sally that told me that I probably should stick around a little bit because there's something that I could learn. Um, and one that you were willing to learn from me, and I saw that you had something to teach me. I couldn't leave after that. And I saw how close I was to breaking all the records. So it was like it was
Heisman.
it was Heisman.
Yeah, and Ricky, the other thing that I'll remember distinctly, and it worked with Vince and I too, because great players are different. You say you treat everybody the same, you don't. You treat everybody fair.
Mm-hmm.
But when you told me, Coach, we'll get along great as long as you never embarrass me in public. And I thought, and I told you, you know what? Same here. We'll get along great if you don't embarrass me in public. And neither one of you, we all had discussions. Neither one of you ever got even close to embarrassing me in public. And I wouldn't embarrass any of our players in public, obviously. But I thought that was a moment where, yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
And I can,
especially as scrutinized as you two were, because everybody watched every little thing you said and did.
Oh my God.
And then you were our number one recruit, and then you were our number one draft choice, and then
can't even dig in your nose without somebody saying something.
Named the best player on our defense because he carried the ball and kept the ball all the time. About the only arguments Ricky and I had, Bob, were he wanted to get tackled in practice, and he wanted to run over people and for kickoffs, and so there's a couple. We wouldn't even tackle him in the spring game. And we didn't have anybody could tackle him anyway. I should have just
exactly. That's what I was about to say. Can you tackle? You can't tackle Ricky anyway.
He would have run over all of them. But we played New Mexico State, I think, in the opener, and I said that'll be your scrimmage. Them, he gained 1,000 yards in that game or something. So we're at Nebraska, and there's some cool moments where We're having trouble against Oklahoma State. They're blitzing every time. And Ricky comes to me at halftime. Now we're trying to win the Heisman and we're trying to break the rushing record. Ricky comes at halftime and said, Coach, they're all on the line of scrimmage. Throw the ball. Throw the ball, man. We got to win the game. Quit worrying about me. And we did. And we won the game.
And
So
I
we're
got
going to the-
and I got a receiving touchdown too.
And you did. They forgot that you could do that too. We're at Nebraska, 47-game win streak at Nebraska for home games. And they're really good. Black shirt defense has been known for shutting everybody down. So the black shirts come out and say, we're going to shut Ricky Williams down. There'll be no Heisman talk after this game. So I turn on TV Friday night and I see Ricky interviewed by Lee Corso. And Ricky says, hey, those black shirts better worry about me. They better keep their mouth shut. Because I'm going to run up and down the field. And I run to Ricky like I did to Vince and said, what are you doing? He said, I'm telling our team we got a chance to win.
Right.
That's what we're doing. We're telling them we're going to have to win. So he gets 150 yards rushing. He was right again. And we're doing an interview with Jack Arute, ABC, on the field after the game. This is a moment that changed my life as far as fans and perspective. And Ricky does the interview, and I tell him they have ropes, thin little ropes up between the Nebraska fans and you walking off the field. And I said, put your helmet on. We're probably going to get some things thrown at us and just keep your head down and let's get in as soon as we could. As soon as we started walking in, there was a chant, Heisman, 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 by every Nebraska fan.
Wow.
I became a Nebraska fan. I've never seen a moment like that in sports. It was so cool. It was
amazing.
just so cool. So now we're down to the A&M game. And I want Ricky's perspective on some of this too. So he got to get 63 yards. Oh, and Coach Royal and I at the A&M game wore dreadlocks. I'll try. I wish we could find that picture. It's a cool picture for two old guys that got dreadlocks. Mine were hard to grow, but we got it worked out here. So we're playing A&M, 63 yards. They're sixth in the country or something. They're great on defense. And Ricky comes up, and I think Napoleon McCallum at Navy had the all-time yardage record. But he also, Tony Dorsett had the rushing record. So Ricky said, will you let me return some kickoffs? I want to get the all-time record, not just the rushing record. And I think I said, Ricky, keep your mouth shut. And you're going to have trouble at 63 yards against A&M. So come on, man. Let's wake up. Let's do it. Well, he gets 77 yards on one run in the first quarter. And he comes over and pats me on the ass and said, we're good. I don't need any kickoff.
But I could tell that game you were trying to give me the record because I might have had 20 carries in the first quarter. It was like it ended with 40 something that game. And we needed it. We needed everyone. Yeah.
20 carries.
But you also said, Coach, I want it to be a long run for a touchdown that puts me over the hump with a Heisman, but also is a ESPN #1 play of the week, and he did all that.
Yeah,
and I said, just in Ricky fashion.
Well,
awesome.
I have
Ricky,
to push. I have to push the credit back to the coaching staff. And I think one of the most difficult things. I mean, kids are doing it all the time now. But one of the most difficult things is to have some kind of change like that at the very end of your career. Because at least for me, I was used to things being a certain way. And Coach Brown came in and it changed everything. I mean, everything changed. The locker room, the stadium, right, the playbook, everything changed. And so I had to trust Coach a lot. And I did, thank goodness. And we had a special relationship because we listened to each other. I think we respected each other and we both understood what was on the line. I knew that I wanted to get Mack off to a good start with his time at Texas, but we went 4-7 the year before. So there's so much on the line. And I knew if I wanted to win the Heisman Trophy, because the previous year when I led the nation in rushing and scoring, I didn't even get invited. Because we only won 4 games. So I knew in order for me to get to New York that the team had to win. And if you go back and watch the video, it's on YouTube, of the play where I broke the record, all 11 guys did their job, like textbook wise, the perfect play. And I just got to be the running back. but it was a lead play that we'd run tons of times. Ricky Brown, the fullback, isolated the line that win. The safety came down to support. Kwame came in, cracked the safety, but they teach us to leave the little guy for the running back. The little corner
Right.
came up. He just bounced off me, and then I was up the sideline. Fastest guy in NCAA was the corner on the backside who had the angle on me, and our backside receiver, one of my best friends on the team, Wayne McGarity, chased him all the way down the field. And that last block was what allowed me to get into the end zone. Otherwise, I would have been tackled on the one, you know? So it's just an example of a team being coached up and really believing in what they were doing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Ricky, we talk
You
so
weren't
much
gonna
on
be
this.
tackled on the one. You
Yeah.
would run over him anyway, but good for
Yeah.
Wayne.
Right.
One of the things, Ricky, that Vince talks a ton on this show about is loyalty, loving the game of football, all those things. And I think that's a good transition into, you could have said after that A&M game, I'm done. I don't need to play the bowl game. I'm going to be an NFL draft pick. I can what everybody's kind of doing now. Why did you want to play in that Mississippi State game in the Cotton Bowl?
So when I was a kid and I thought about being a football player, it never occurred to me to be a professional football player. I always wanted to be a baseball player, but there's something about college football that I had to experience. I had to experience. And I almost forgot with all the success, but luckily I didn't. And my senior year in college, best year of my life. It was the most chaotic and hectic, and it felt like 5 years were crammed into one season, but it was special, and it took a lot of people showing up and doing their part to make it that way.
Well,
The
and
fun of
Ricky
the
was so
game.
special for all you young running backs out there. Every time he touched the ball in practice, he would score. So we had to start moving the drill down so we wouldn't kill him. So if we're on the other end, he'd go 80 yards to score to do it. But was always on time for practice. He never missed practice. He was never hurt. He never wanted out of practice. At the bowl game against Mississippi State, I asked him, "Are you going to play?" And he said, "Why wouldn't I play?" I said, "Well, you might get hurt in your first round draft choice." "Well, you can get hurt riding a bike. You can get hurt
Right.
doing anything." So, "Coach, I want to play." And then the
Mhm.
same thing when Grant Taft called and said, "What about the college all-star game in Hawaii? I'm sure Ricky won't
The
play,
Hula
but
Bowl.
would he be captain at the Hula Bowl?" And I said, "Ricky, I know you're not going to play." And he said, "Why wouldn't I play?
Right.
I want to play."
Yes.
And we're missing that now. It's one thing that ruined me, Ricky, when the guys are opting out now. I just said, "Oh my gosh." I got Cedric Benson that played against Michigan hurt. I got Ricky Williams that played in an all-star game and a bowl game, and you guys aren't near as good as them, and you're pulling out.
Yeah.
Why would you pull out and not play? And that hurts us. We even had to get Ricky got so popular. Dreadlocks with a 34 jersey was the number one outfit for Halloween. So we should have been NIL then. Ricky would have made a oh my god if we'd had it. And then we go to the bowl game and we're playing Jackie Sherrill, who had castrated Bebo at one point, so that probably didn't go well with Texas fans or Bebo. So we're sitting there and we had to put him in a different jersey, a different room in the hotel because people were just all over him. And then we actually would put him in a police car to take him to practice and slip him in the back. Or he's nice, but even on campus, he couldn't sign autographs and be late to practice. He didn't want to tell people I can't be late to class.
Right.
He couldn't walk on campus. And then when he got to New York, we're having a blast. His family's there, and we love his mom, and he's got a beautiful sister. And we're sitting there, and Sally slips him out and takes him shopping. So they go shopping. We don't even know where they are. And I said, "You can't do that. We lost him." She said, "He can't go anywhere by himself and just be left alone." So I slipped him out and took him into this huge place to shop in New York. So and then as he always does, when he won the Heisman, he was so gracious and handled it so well with everybody. But unlike what we're seeing today, Ricky is very loyal.
Mhm.
He's very smart. He's very tough. And whatever he does, he wants to do it 100% and do it the best. And if you're sitting and talking to Ricky at dinner, probably not going to mention football.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Be brought up.
That's not even conversation.
He'll be talking about everything else but football, and the same in the NFL. He always wanted to do what was right, and he always wanted to win, and he wanted to compete. And I'll never forget Coach Ditka called, and Ricky missed the first pregame meal we had, and I said, "Where's Ricky?" And they said, "Well, he doesn't eat meat." I said, "What do you mean he doesn't eat meat?" And they said,
You're right.
He doesn't eat meat." And I said, "Well, what does he eat?" He said, "He wants cinnamon rolls." I said, "Get him cinnamon rolls." We had cinnamon rolls for pregame meal for Ricky. So when Coach Ditka called and said, "Your guy won't eat meat," I said, "Yeah, I knew that." "Well, on pregame meal," I said, "Yeah, he will. Get him cinnamon rolls." "I'm not getting cinnamon rolls." He said, "He's gonna be
Right.
like everybody else on our team." I said, "Then he won't come.
Yeah.
Get him
This is
cinnamon rolls." I mean,
that
it's
is
really just
awesome.
asking what he wants to eat to help him
And
play better
and
and
to
give it to
to
him.
to
Yeah.
piggyback off what what Ricky said, I am in total agreement about the Sally and Coach Brown, the family part of it and the lawyer part of it is the reason why I wanted to play for Coach, right? Like what Ricky said. And it goes to what my question right now for you, Ricky, is like all your accomplishments in life, right? You have done it to the top, top, top. I want to know, is it a mentor or is it just you that you just want to continue to keep pushing yourself to just learn whatever the world or life has in store for you? And the thing, I'm very impressed with that because every time I look up and I read anything about you, you're doing something different and you're making it more better for you as a dad, husband, friend, play, all of the above. You just bringing yourself more perspective on things in life with mental health, everything. What makes you do those things?
I think it's two things come to mind. One is my mom, and two is not having dad around. Because my mom pushed me and she said, "There's no excuses, right? You're gonna get a scholarship to go to college because you're going to college and I can't pay for it." So my mom set the standard and she was an example. And whatever she did at work, when there was an opportunity for her to get a promotion or a raise, she always got it. And so she was just a good example of you're gonna have to figure it out yourself, but you can. And so I just always I started playing sports at a young age, and my mom always taught me try your hardest to be the best. So anything that I tried to do, I always tried to be the best. And I didn't always have a lot of mentors or resources around me. So I kind of had to figure it out. But part of figuring it out, and I think for me, the best skill that a player can have is to be coachable. Because if you're getting offered a scholarship, you have the athletic ability to be able to play. But if you can't allow the coaches to take what they know and the game plan and get into you and you execute it, it ain't going to work. So I did make myself very, very coachable. As I would remind myself, the coaches aren't here to yell at us and just to get on top of us, is they have the same goal as we do, is to make us play better. And so once I got that down and I listened to coaches and allowed myself to take what they said, but work on it myself and to see how I can take it to the next level, because the coaches don't know what's in your heart. They just know what the game plan is and how to get you to be your best. But it's up to the player to take responsibility in that relationship to be able to be their best.
Texas has some of the highest property taxes in the country. And if you're a property owner like we are, you know it hits harder than a blindside sack. That's why every winning season starts with the right playbook. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Pro Tax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. They're the number one defense against soaring tax bills, the kind of defense that stuffs rising values at the line and sends them back to the locker room.
Do your homework before you just let any firm suit up for you. I've looked at the stats, and Texas Pro Tax doesn't just win, they dominate.
We're talking big gains, deep passes, and the kind of tax-saving drives that make your wallet do a victory dance. While the other firms are warming the bench, Texas Pro Tax is driving the field, breaking tackles, and putting up game-changing Texas-sized tax savings.
Stampede listeners, your minimum fee is waived. No flags, no fumbles.
Visit TexasProTax.com, sign up and enter code STAMPEDE to join the winning team, and finally put your property taxes on the bench.
Well, and we
Right.
called Ricky's mom Heisman. So
Yes,
that was, and she was. She
she
is
is.
Heisman without question. Ricky, I'm so impressed with you and Vince. Neither one of you had fathers growing up, and you didn't have people to put the thumb on you and make you. And you've end up being wonderful fathers and husbands and grandfathers, excuse me. Uh, you're wonderful examples. So for all those kids out there that say I didn't have a chance and I didn't have this and I didn't have a father and you took no excuses and you made it work.
Yeah.
And you've used it to be a positive on the other end. And that's really cool and really hard to do. And I can't stand it when people say I didn't have a chance. I didn't have you don't get to choose who raises you. We get to choose a lot of things in our life. You don't get to choose family.
Yep.
Family,
Yep.
you got to make it work after you get there. Why was Bruce Chambers the right guy to coach you?
Um, because he knew his place. I think sometimes coaches come in and they think that they have to be the boss and you have to do everything they say. But I don't know. I guess you communicated very clearly to Bruce what the job was, and so we had an agreement and we took care of
Get him the
we took
pregame
care of
meal.
each other. Yeah.
Get him in cinnamon, bro.
Give them a roll. Well, I did tell Bruce once, Ricky traditionally was late before I got there. And I will say he was never late after like the first meeting ever again. And I did say to Bruce Chambers and Ricky sitting in there, Bruce, if Ricky's late again, I'm firing you. Because he's the best player. I'm firing you. And Bruce said, you would. And I said, oh, yeah. Yeah. And Greg Davis is sitting there too. And he said, oh, absolutely. He and Cleve Bryant said, oh, he'll fire you. Right. Ricky was not late. Then we're at the Doak Walker Awards, and I'm sitting next to Gail Sayers, and Ricky's a little bit late because he got him a watch. And he took it off because they give you a watch at the Doak Walker Awards. And Gail Sayers said, I can't believe he's late. And I'm thinking, come on, Ricky. So he walks in, he said, oh, I didn't have my watch. I had to take it off because there's a watch here. And he just charmed the whole group. And Gail says, oh, nice, this young guy. He forgot as he got there. But that's when we started the Ricky Williams rule because I didn't know if he was going to be on time. So I'd sit in my office till Ricky would show up at the bus. And then Cleve Bryant would text me and said, your guy here, it's time to go. So then I'd come down. So I didn't do this. So I wouldn't be
He's
late,
never late.
sitting there on the bus waiting for Ricky and being mad at him when he showed up.
Wow.
So I just worked till Ricky showed up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, this is my thing, and I can't say it should have been different, but the proof is in the pudding. At least for my personal experiences, I always say this: when you get to college, you're a kid, and most college staffs appreciate that, and I think a college coach is such an important job because it's that threshold from being a kid into being a man, and football is a perfect tool to help that process. But I found when I was with the group of people that not let me get away with murder, but understood that I was a little bit different and that tolerating that little bit of difference manifested as me performing better. Now, I think the coaches in the NFL, when they finally figured that out, my career got so much easier. But until then, it was
Right.
really, really difficult. And the way I would say it, if I was making light of it, is that I was spoiled at Texas, but the end result was I won the Heisman Trophy. So
And the result is
No, it all worked out
worked.
pretty damn good.
Yes, it
you
worked.
sold out the stadium and you helped get us started and get
Yeah,
us back
buddy.
on track. And I don't think you were spoiled. I think you were treated properly, like you should have been treated.
Yeah, right.
amen to
Ricky,
that.
there's an
Other running backs would say, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Be like Ricky."
Yeah,
That's what Ricky
right.
does. And
Run,
Ricky and Vince were
run,
still
Ricky,
our
run.
best leaders ever,
Shit.
but they were the two hardest workers on the team. And you can't have that role without earning it in
Yeah.
the players' mind. There's another moment, Ricky, that I thought was so cool. You got close to Doak Walker,
Yeah, I
and we
did.
lost Doak. And we're playing Oklahoma, so Ricky is so thoughtful and so caring. He comes in and says, "Can I wear number 37, Doak's number in the house that Doak built for this weekend's game?" Well, you have to get permission from the NCAA. They said yes. So Ricky wears 37. He ran a 37-yard touchdown, points to Doak when he scores with a knee, which you can't make this stuff up. This is only Ricky Williams stuff. And then after the game, Coach Royal, who loved Ricky, myself, and Ricky present the Walker family with the jersey. which was just one of the coolest moments. Why did you like Doak Walker so much?
Because he accepted me right away. So I won the Doak Walker my junior year, and did the award ceremony in Orlando. And Doak was late for the main dinner, and he walked in, and I was sitting off to the side like I usually do, and we kind of bumped into each other. We just hit it off right away, and especially at the time, I looked so different from a different background, but he didn't see any of that, and we just sat down and got right to it. So I felt a special bond to Doak, and also what he represented. When I was a kid, I was into the whole image of being a professional athlete and making a difference in the world. And looking back at the old clippings of Doak on the cover of Life magazine, right, where it meant something to be a football hero or to be a sports hero. And Doak reminded me of those days.
Okay,
That's
Ricky,
awesome.
two or three things here. What would you do? You're the commissioner of college football. What would you change immediately? Do you What do you like, and what would you change immediately to get everybody back together and
Yeah.
in the right direction?
Yeah, I think what we're losing, and it's still there, but what we're losing is college football culture and tradition. You know, and I think that's what's going to last. That's what has lasted. So I would focus on how to keep culture and tradition in college sports. And so the first thing would be the transfer portal. Now I don't want to go back to the archaic days where the players had zero leverage, but I don't think it's right that you can just hop around from one school to the next every year. That doesn't sit right with me. So I definitely would want to address that. NIL, I think it's wonderful that players can make some money, can make a living, can support their family. The tweaks there, I'd say some of that money to me should be put away until later. And the other thing is it should be have some kind of connection to graduation eventually. You know,
Mhm.
is because to me it's college sports, and to me the whole idea of college sports. And a couple of years ago, they brought back the first African Americans that played at the University of Texas, and I was curious, and I talked to them like, what was it like back then? And from their perspective, it was an opportunity to get a better education through their athletic ability. That's where it all started, and I feel like now it's kind of moving away with all these kids even getting an education other than the football education is in and of itself is priceless, but I'm talking about the other side of college, the academic side. So I would try to make it feel more like college sports again, because right now it's professional sports.
It's professional sports with teenagers,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Right.
kids that aren't ready to handle all the pressure. I'm worried too, Ricky, about mental health. And you've been a supporter of mental health your whole life, and I'm really worried about we're throwing so much on these kids with an agent, with money, with transferring, with not nobody's talking about graduation rates anymore. It makes it tough. Uh, on the same side, what do you think of the situation with a quarterback at Texas Tech? NCAA says, I told you guys you can't gamble every day of your lives.
Joe did.
Every day of your lives. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't. Well, he just gambled for $90,000, and the NCAA says he's ineligible to play. Then they get an injunction, and now they're saying that he is eligible to play. What are your feelings? You're on the team. One of our players is gambling, and I make it where it's okay for him to play. How do you feel as a team member?
Well, to me, that's kind of a separate question. NCAA is saying yes, but there still has to be a head coach that makes the decision to bring him on and have to deal with that conversation. And if that happened, and I'm older now, so it's easy to take this perspective, but I'd want to have a conversation with the head coach and say, like, "Well, is it that bad?" Right? I just want to hear what the head coach says. And as a young person, hearing what the head coach says, it might educate me on something. But but yeah, NCAA to me kind of is moving towards being a joke. No. But it does fall now, and maybe that's how it should be. It does fall now more on the universities and the athletic staff there.
Ricky, one of the kind of along those lines of coach talking about mental health, one of the things I've always been curious about, you've been very open about your social anxiety and how you dealt with that at a very young age. How much did Mac and Sally your senior year help you through some of that stuff? And then, it's an interesting dynamic because you're playing in front of 100,000 people or 80,000 people in an NFL stadium. Was that your release? Was that your way to kind of like, hey, I'm in front of all these people, but this is what I'm good at, and I can kind of show people that do have social anxiety here, there are different ways to get through it. What was so meaningful to you about that?
Well, I think if anything, Mac and Sally helped hide it. You know, because I mentioned earlier that the big jump is being a kid into being a man and what that means. And the amount of
Yeah.
responsibility, at least, and accountability that are put on college football players are great preparation to grow up in a certain way.
Yeah.
And they protected me, so I didn't have to deal with all those other things. And I think I probably needed a little bit more help, support, and protection making that leap to the NFL. Because my naive expectation was when I get to the NFL, there's going to be a support system like I had in college to help me navigate all these things. And because there wasn't, I just felt like alone and like no one cared, no one really knew who I was. And that's why I felt so alienated from the people that I was around. And I needed to grow up. I think I don't even mean that as a negative thing. That's something that we all have to figure out how to do. And because I didn't have a father figure in the home, I didn't have a good or a bad example to watch. But so I had to work harder, and it took a little bit longer for me to grow up. But I had a solid foundation that gave me enough leeway to figure it out because of the support I had at Texas.
Bob,
Yeah.
Ricky
Amen to
was
that.
doing interviews with his helmet on,
Yeah.
saying,
Absolutely.
and Sally saw him, and Sally loves Ricky Williams. I mean, it's never been
Mm.
a question. Just loves him and everything about him. And so she calls him and says, "What are you keeping your helmet on for?" He said, I don't like some of the people I'm talking to, so I just then have my mask and keep it that way." And she says, "Well, you've got a beautiful smile. And you're so good looking. I think you should take it off and let everybody else see your face." So he takes the helmet off next interview, and they said, "What are you doing?" He said, Miss Sally said that I should take it off." So
But that's
Yeah,
what I
buddy.
mean. There's certain people, if you know how to approach me and like just treat me as a human being, then it's gonna be
Right.
easier for me to understand what you're saying. But when you bark at me like I'm just a chess piece or an image, I don't like that. Treat me as a human being. I don't care how many
Right.
yards or touchdowns I've scored. I'm still a human.
Right.
well, we
Respect on
were,
that.
it was so interesting when Ricky was thinking about leaving Miami. We talked,
Mhm.
and it was the same thing. My job was to say, "Okay, have you thought about fantasy football fans? They're gonna kill you. Well, it's August. Have you thought about your money? Thought about your contract? Let's look at all these things." And that's what I love so much about Ricky. He's practical. He's gonna think about it, but he's gonna do what he thinks is best for him, and
Human.
he's gonna do it the right way. That's what
Amen.
I've always admired him so much.
Same here.
Yeah, and Ricky, along those lines, over the years in the last, I mean, it really is amazing to think your Heisman season was 28 years ago, and how much has changed since then, and the public perception of so many things, from dreadlocks to to marijuana to everything over the years has changed pretty dramatically. You've really dipped your toes into a lot of things since your career and since your NFL career ended. Um, what has been the most rewarding part of all of that for you? Because you're such an introspective person. The people who know you have seen, I mean, and you can, if you want to, get a little bit into what you're doing now with astrology, but what has been the most rewarding thing for you over the last 10 years to see some of the way these things have grown?
It's been a little bit more than, well, 10 years will fit, but a little bit more than 10 years. There's two things that occurred. The first was the statue at the University of Texas. This was 2013. After all, went through going through all the ups and downs, mental health, cannabis, all that stuff. Still, you know, Joe Jamel, Coach Brown, I made sure that still I was honored at the university. Um, and I was still kind of young, and the story was still unfolding. But I remember when I got to Texas, I got burnt orange fever. You know, everything I wore had the Longhorn on. Like, I couldn't get enough of being part of that tradition. And one of the commercials, I don't know if it's still on, but it's the Texas commercial, and it says, "What starts here changes the world." And one of the things Coach Brown said, I think it was a Nebraska game, he said, if what you guys do here, success is the greatest accomplishment in your life, you guys have failed. I took all that stuff seriously. And to me, the whole point of being a professional athlete or being famous is that you have a platform to do something with. And so that moment of knowing that I can do things my way and I still have the support of an institution like the University of Texas. Second one is the naming of the field. That whole process was just really cool. Back after my first year of my disastrous rookie season in the NFL, Matt called me up and said, get your ass back here, And I got back and I went down to the field, and Earl's in his Suburban was waiting for me, put me in the car. Earl drove me to Houston to meet Joe Jamel and his son Dar. And it really started a relationship that supported me and helped me get through some of my most difficult times. And then when it came to the renaming the field, Dar, Joe's son, said, my dad's gone, but there's two great examples at this university that can represent us here. So why don't we change the name of the field? And how that process all went down really quickly is, to me, I always feel like Texas has my back no matter what I do and where I go. And with that feeling, I feel like I can accomplish anything.
Amen.
That's awesome.
It's one thing I want to say while we're all here about Vince. I was thinking about this. I didn't have the opportunity to play with Vince. I only got to watch him, and I made a lot of money on college football NCAA playing with Vince. But after I retired and started coming back and hanging out with Vince, I got it. There's something about being around Vince where you feel like everything is gonna be good, not okay, but everything is gonna be good. And I can imagine being in the huddle with someone that has that kind of presence. Man, powerful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you two would have been
brother.
dangerous together.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
No.
And we played flag football together. Remember, he was out there running over kids and everything. I say, dude, slow down. This is not football.
Did
You remember
play
that?
basketball with that, Ricky?
What'd you say?
Did you ever play basketball with
Oh, here
him?
we go.
I never got a
Here
chance
we
to play
go.
basketball with him.
Here we go.
I
That's
couldn't
good.
shoot,
That's
so
Hey, Ricky, do you remember me scaring you on Halloween?
I do. I sure do.
Ricky,
How
give
did
us
you
a
scare?
quote.
Wait. Hold on.
We
How
got
did
so many
how did
stories.
how did you scare him on Halloween?
We did the Longhorn Network show together,
Yeah.
one day the show was actually on Halloween, and I went out, in the back and got dressed up and they act like the lights went out right in the studios, so the lights went out and everybody in there like, what? Ricky and they're like, what's going on? And I snuck in. They turned the lights back on and Ricky almost ran out.
It's hard for you to slip in.
And then we did
You'd
the
have to turn
haunted
the
house.
lights
You
out.
remember the haunted house we did together?
The haunted house, yeah.
Oh my God. We was basically squeezing each other the whole time walking through the whole haunted house.
Where was this?
In
You know,
Austin.
what's it called? It's
Like
called
here in Austin.
the haunted,
Oh, okay,
for
okay.
Halloween. We did it for the show. And when I mean me and Ricky had the time of our lives, and when that chainsaw guy came, we jumped on each other. We got a lot of stories.
I know we got to let Ricky go, and we love Ricky. And Ricky, give us the
Amazing.
quote for the reason that you said you came to the University of Texas. I think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah, so before I came to Texas, I took a recruiting trip to USC. That's where I thought I wanted to go. I had Notre Dame after Texas. And I went on my recruiting trip and I was blown away. Just the tradition and how rich football was and all the stories I heard. And someone asked and I said, why'd you go to Texas? And I said, well, you got to go where you're celebrated. You got to go where people appreciate what you're doing. And I said, if you want to shop, go to New York, If you want to do movies, Hollywood, go to LA. If you want to play college football, you gotta go to Austin, Texas.
That's still the
That's
best
awesome.
recruiting pitch ever.
That's awesome.
You can use
Definitely
it to this
gotta go
day if
to
you need
Texas,
to.
baby.
Absolutely. Ricky, we cannot thank you enough for coming on, spending some time with us and telling a few stories of the good times with Mac and Vince. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We hope we can do this again with you soon.
No, this was great. It was great to catch up, VY. Mac. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Great,
Rick,
Ricky.
man. Love
Thank
you,
you.
man.
Love
Keep
you,
up the
brother.
great work, big.
Yeah, I love
Keep
you
up the
too.
great work, big guy.
All right.
All right. More to come. That was Ricky Williams alongside Mack Brown and Vince Young. We've got more to come when we come back. This is the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We're back after this. All right, welcome back to the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. It's now time for Texas Pro Tax Pros. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Pro Tax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. And as a Stampede listener, when you sign up for Texas Pro Tax, your minimum fee will be waived. Just visit TexasProTax.com and enter the code STAMPEDE to join the winning team and put your property taxes on the bench. Mandatory minicamp in the NFL is beginning. The Texans this week, the Cowboys next week. A lot of the Texas rookies have had their rookie mini camps. Now they get a chance to kind of join the veterans and get a little more flavor of the team. Take us inside what a mini camp is like. We hear all these different, there's OTAs and there's mini camps and then training camp finally comes. What are these like? What's the difference here?
Well, one of the things you got to get off is you've been watching the Patrick Mahomes, you've been watching the Josh Allens, and now I get to play with him. So, wow, let's get that out the way.
Yeah.
This is really Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, he's actually here.
He's actually here. So let's get that out the way.
Yeah.
But again, it's like now it's like you want to just fit in and understand how to practice with the team, with the veterans, what time meetings are, like to go through the whole little process. And before you go back home, and this will be your last time going home and see the family because you're gonna be away for a while.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because that image got me to thinking of you as a rookie walking in and you get under center, and did you just go, oh my God, Albert Haynesworth is enormous. What is going to happen here? You look at that defense and go, what am I getting ready to face?
I had Kevin Mawai
Kevin Mawai.
and Pro Bowl center, and me, I'm shotgun. I had to go underneath the center, so I dropped a snap probably like 10 times because he had that quick snap because he was so a veteran. And me and him and Coach Chow got into it. He's like, I'm not finna change my ways for this rookie. I was like, bro, it's not that you have to change. Can we get a couple of extra practice snaps? Because I'm not underneath the center. In college at UT, I was in the shotgun. But it took a while, and then I actually got it. But again, it's like understanding the veterans and being respectful of the veterans, especially a guy like that, a Hall of Famer, Pro Bowler, that been doing it for a while. So it's just trying to understand and trying to fit in. And then the main thing I said last time is just trying to earn their respect. You want to earn their respect.
If you're a first or second or third round pick in the NFL, you're not guaranteed to make the roster, but you're pretty much going to be on that roster. But if you're fourth round and on and into free agency, you're battling. It's a huge battle. So you think about guys like Michael Taft and DJ Campbell and Jack Endries and some of these Texas players. How important is this mini camp for them to establish themselves as what they're going to be in the NFL?
And it's very important. Like, you got to understand the terminology of the defense, offense, special teams. You just want to fit in and learn as much as you can. Even though coach saying tomorrow is our last day of practice, you might want to stay another 2 more days to be around a coaching staff, get to know your coach a little bit more.
For sure.
Or go talk to the head coach. How can I fit in on the team? Any way you can to get any answers from the coaching staff so you can have that in the back of your mind. Like, I'm leaving in the next couple of days to go home for a couple of days, but what do I need to do to make the team or play on the team? That's the main thing a lot of young guys got to understand. And I'm saying it for them because I did it.
Yeah.
I stayed a couple of days after everybody left to get to know my coaching staff, understand the offense a little bit more, just being around because it's more intimate now. It's just you. It's not everybody. So try your best to do that and then go home and get you a little break and get some rest.
As for getting to know the team, what are those days like as a rookie trying to find your way through and fit in and all those kind of things? Is it like, is there more of a rookie hazing pushback, or is there more of a we're going to welcome you in?
It's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. You're definitely getting rookie haze. I mean, I remember I had a $15,000 check. I had to take all the guys out to eat. One guy got taped around the goalpost and they left him there, sprayed ketchup and hot sauce and mustard and left him there till everybody left, and then somebody went and got him. But it's bad. You get taken advantage of, but at the same time it's okay. You got to deal with it. Everybody's been through it. You got to deal with it, but at the same time it's fun, but it also give you that team bonding, that what you want. So as a rookie, I can tell you guys, Taft and the guys, it's going to happen.
Just get ready.
Get ready, baby.
Get ready. Give us a story of something you can tell that was not money related, not something just writing a check, but something that was like carrying bags or getting coffee or something that you had to do that's like, okay, I didn't think this was something I was going to have to do when I got to the NFL.
Yeah, and mine was taking a dip.
Oh
my God. All the quarterbacks done it, and that's the history. It happened at Texas with Chris Sims and the guys. It happened here, and then it happened again in the pros. And when I mean I puked and threw up for at least 2 hours because I'm not a dip guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I messed up and swallowed.
Oh no, Vince.
And I still to this day, Billy Volick and Kerry Collins and them guys got me pretty good. And still to this day, that's when I see Casey Stutter, he walking around with his deal. I'm like, I don't even know how you do that. Because the last time twice I done that, it didn't work.
Well, I could tell you he doesn't swallow it.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I made a mistake. And you thought I would learn from the first time.
Right.
And I still did it again. So rookies, don't dip. Please don't dip, rookies.
Don't dip. What's the most important thing that rookies can do in this mini camp to establish themselves?
Man, get some rest.
Yeah.
Get some rest. Go enjoy couple days before July gets here. I can honestly say, because you have been on since the pro day, you've been really busy.
I mean, since the day the season ended back in January, you've been it's been all NFL all the time.
It's been like, I'm trying to get on this team. I want to make this team. My goal is to play in the NFL since I was a kid. You did it. Okay. Go get you some rest.
Yeah.
And make sure you got your foundation right. Make sure you got the right financial advisor. Make sure you got the right business manager around you. Make sure you got the right team around you. So when it's football start, you can just worry about football and you got a team that's going to make sure you're taking care of your back and making sure you got the marketing deal, all that type of stuff. But the main thing right now is make sure that is in stack and go get some rest. Go sleep for 2 weeks. Because once that's over with, when you got a report, it's showtime.
Go to Mexico and sleep. Go to your
wherever
bed
you
sleep,
want.
wherever you need to
go.
Go somewhere.
Go get some rest
and get some sleep.
Go
All
get
right,
some
good
sleep.
stuff. Hey, as always, you can win big savings on your property taxes with Texas Pro Tax. Sign up and use the code STAMPEDE at TexasProTax.com. All right, when we come back, Vince, Mack, and I get into the Brendan Sorsby situation at Texas Tech. Oh, college football, what are you doing
Coach
now?
Stark started it.
Yeah. All he did was say they didn't have a good schedule, and look where we are now. Come on, Sark. All right, we got more of that when we come back. This is the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We're back after this. All right, final segment of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Great first two segments. Wonderful talking to Ricky Williams, getting you guys to have a conversation with him, and now we get into the really interesting stuff of college football and what's going on. All right, so for those of you that don't know all the facts and everything that's gone into what's going on in Lubbock and what's going on at Texas Tech and the NCAA, Brendan Sorsby, their quarterback, was granted a preliminary injunction that will allow him to play football for Texas Tech next season. He will serve a 2-game suspension. Obviously, the NCAA is appealing this. They don't think it's right, obviously. Sorsby placed thousands of bets, wagered on his own team, approximately $90,000 on college and professional sports over 4 years at Indiana, Cincinnati. Now he's at Texas Tech, and he wagered on his own team, Indiana, in 2022. So, before we even started this segment, Vince immediately said, I've got some things to say, and I know both of you do. Let's start with just your initial thoughts on the ruling and allowing Brendan Sorsby to play football next year after everything that's gone on. Vince, why don't you start us off?
Well, on the ruling, okay. I mean, he has a history of the things that he's doing, right?
Yep.
So he obviously has to be punished for it. And this goes back to what I've been saying and what I've been saying with Coach. We got to start making people be accountable for their mistakes. And my thing is, why is it always the damn players? It is not like the other folks that's doing the BS. Is, like, okay, this baby is 16, 17 years old. Somebody put it in his ear to say, hey, you can bet and do this and do that, right?
Yep.
Because that kid at one time was just playing football, right? I want to go to college and I want to go to the NFL, right? That is the ultimate dream, right? For a young man, right? But when you get these people in your ear to go make you transfer, go into the portal, and I got more money over here. I just want everybody to does take a step and say, listen, okay, like we was talking about with the Congress and everybody's getting involved. Let's start making people accountable, not just the players. Everybody is out here making mistakes. And that baby was a young man before he started making these bad decisions. Somebody put it in his ear and told him, you know, you can do this and makes a little money on the side. So let's start making people accountable. And nobody is talking about that. Everybody want to change this. We need 24 playoff teams. We need
It's
this.
everything. It's
It's
literally everything
everything.
needs to change.
Everything needs to change, but the main thing needs to be for me is holding people accountable. And if they are making an example of him, okay, let's make an example to everybody, coaches, agents. Let's start making people accountable for the mistakes, because if you do, this stuff will stop. Because don't nobody like this kid is almost about to mess up his whole career and probably never play if he finna get an opportunity to play again, but in the same time, he could mess up his career.
Yeah.
So let's start making sure, like my son and my daughter and other people out there in the world, make them know that if you do this, this is what's going to happen. Let's start making people accountable.
And to that point, you know, I know we're in the moment right now, so it's harder to kind of think ahead. But the hope is that no matter what happens, whether he plays or not, he can be a voice to younger kids of what
Exactly.
happens if you do gamble and those type of things. All right,
Exactly.
Coach, let's get your initial reaction to the ruling of the preliminary injunction and the idea that Brendan Sorsby could play football for Texas Tech this year.
Well, 3 years ago, Iowa State quarterback Hunter Deckers,
Yeah.
who placed $3,000 worth of bets, was ineligible for a lifetime,
Hmm.
and he'll never play again.
Never.
So we've got to be consistent in what we do. So if we ruined Decker's chance to play and he was told not to gamble, Vince knows I tell the guy the whole time, you can't gamble on football. You can't. You're not going to play if you do. So then there's no book for the coach. So Joey McGuire doesn't have a playbook to tell him what to do. And this, because you're worried about your quarterback. You're worried about your boosters who paid a whole lot of money for your quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Your AD has to be involved and on board. Your president has to be involved and on board. Your trustees have to all be in agreement. And if that's the case, then how does Joey McGuire say, okay, I'm not going to let him play? When everybody that's Joey's boss says he needs to play. And I don't know. I haven't talked to Joey and wouldn't, but went through some of this myself. When in 1997, we were number 4 in the country at North Carolina. Florida State was number 1. Coach Bowden had a player, and I won't mention the young guy's name. He had gotten in some trouble with his girlfriend. They accused him of stealing a credit card, maybe breaking in the house and something. So he was supposed to be suspended for the semester. They made it the next semester for spring. And then he was doing some jail time during the week, the best I remember it. And they let him out on the weekend so he could play against NC State, North Carolina, and Florida, because that was his best chance to make a living when he got through, which Vince just mentioned, because he was going to be a pro football player. And then he made every tackle in the game. He looked great. And after the game, I'll never forget, Bob, one of your cohorts said, Coach, what do you think about this young guy getting out of jail to play in the game? And I didn't know what to say. So I said, well, he had really fresh legs. Because he made every tackle, so I can do it. So, number one, our point has been we're at a critical time for the NCAA.
Yeah.
If they don't get antitrust, then everybody can sue and overturn their ruling, and they have no power. They have none. So they're in really bad trouble here unless they can get Congress to give them antitrust through one of these bills between now and July the 10th. And we may see some crazy things happen if that doesn't happen, because you've got to have a ruling body, and right now we don't have one. Secondly, Joey's in a tough spot. Like I said, you worry about the player, you worry about his mental health. He messed up. He made poor decisions. Who was involved with all that? Where are the agents now? Who's the one that started him? Vince is right. There needs to be some investigation and thought process moving forward. Is it best for him to play? Cedric Benson got in trouble. Bless his heart. We
Yeah.
love Cedric, and we
Yeah.
lost him 5-6 years ago. And Cedric got in trouble because somebody stole his TV.
Yep.
He went back and he
Took it back.
told the police, and he said, "This guy's got my TV," and he knew who it was, and the police wouldn't do anything about it. So he kicked the door in, walked in, got the TV, and took it home. That was breaking and entering.
Right.
From his standpoint, all I did is get my TV back, coach.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't steal anything. It was my TV. So I
Mm.
suspended him for the Baylor game. I wouldn't let him come to practice. I wouldn't let him be in the building. I wouldn't let him go to the game. I wouldn't let him be on the sideline. Wouldn't let him have tickets. We get back at 2:00 that morning after killing Baylor, and he's meeting the bus crying because he loved football so much. But my point was I had to make a statement to him at that time, because if he does that when he's 40, he'll get shot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was more about the statement in the future than it was him getting his TV back. Or I said, you can't do that.
And us as well as his teammates. So coach made an example out of our best running back in the world to say, I don't care who you guys is. This is a major no. We're not doing this. So he made an example out of said for all of us, if you're thinking about doing something like that, this is what you're going to happen. And then, like coach said, we don't want to miss no football.
Right. And that's something I'll never forget. Greg Popovich did that to Tim Duncan. He treated him like he was 1 through 15. You treat them all the same, and then you learn your lessons.
Yeah.
I think, coach, it's probably fair to say there are only a few ways any of this is going to fix itself. Congress is going to have to intervene. They're going to have to either have collective bargaining and a union or some kind, or they're going to maybe they follow the rules, which that I think we've established that's not going to happen. But if you're in Texas Tech shoes like right now, why are you okay with this? Why are you okay bringing this quarterback back? And with knowing not just, and this doesn't go to all the Big 12 teams saying we're just not going to play Texas Tech, the Big 10 teams saying we're not going to schedule them. Like, forget all that stuff. If you're on the Texas Tech side, why are you allowing this to happen when it's such a serious thing that's happened?
Yeah, I mean, because they're allowing it to happen because they don't care. They all about winning right now, right? So that's the narrative that we don't want, not just Texas Tech, but anybody. You got to be held accountable. So if this kid did that, we are sorry, right? This is bad, right? At least he knows if he has the opportunity to go to the pros, he won't do that again. He shouldn't be playing, period. But there we go with the slap on the hand again. So this is what I'm saying. Like, if it's a player, if it's a coach, if it's an agent, we have to be sticking to who we are. If you make a mistake, you can't play. You can't coach. You can't do anything because it jeopardizes the integrity of the game. And we are trying to teach people and tell people, stop doing these things because this was going to happen. First of all, there's consequences of all your actions, right? So this young man made a bad mistake, and he been making mistakes. So because you got money and you want to pay for this baby to play, he made a mistake. Okay, let's pray that he has an opportunity to get drafted and go play the game and go and learn from his mistakes.
That's the point right there. He can still go play in the NFL. This isn't his career's not over, and I think that's the fantastic point on that side. Coach, is there any legitimate side to this from Texas Tech angle of we feel like a 2-game suspension, he's gone through rehab, the mental health side of this, it would all be good for him to be able to play football? I mean, obviously we know they want him to play because they want to win football games,
right?
But is there a side of legitimacy to the Texas Tech side?
I think so, Bob. You go back to Bobby Bowden. He's one of the nicest, kindest hearted coaches ever. He was very, very religious, had strong faith. And I think Bobby Bowden actually thought it was best for that kid to get out of jail and play because it was his chance to have a future. Did it help him beat us? Yeah, we scored 3 points. So he had fresh legs. So so maybe it didn't help my mental health, but it helped the young man's mental health. Joey McGuire is a high school football coach from Cedar Hill that loves kids. It's kind of like the coaches trying to get the big basketball player at Alabama eligible.
Yeah.
He came back. As a coach, you fall in love with your players, and you're an extension of their family. So even if you say, well, that's stupid, he broke the rules, which he did, and the Iowa State player, we've got to have consistent consequences. Vince just said it, and they got to be strong. I saw, and we can research this, and you talk about it later, but I think the NCAA just ruled against maybe North Dakota State for tampering, and they made a guy on the staff that was tampering, couldn't recruit for a year, and took away a week of visits or something. There's nothing. And the Ole Miss case hasn't even been mentioned. So in our lives, the Cedric Benson rule, our players knew if you messed up, there were going to be consequences, no matter who you were. And I tried to make the consequences fit the future for Ced, for Vince. I wanted to say, what's it going to help? What are they going to learn from this?
Yeah.
So is Sorsby going to learn from the counseling, from all the attention, or are we allowing him to break rules and still play, and it's okay?
Yeah.
And then
That's
what
the
if
point
somebody
right
else
there.
on the tech team gets caught gambling?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the precedent. The precedent on all this is
because every kid is watching this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the family of Decker is sitting there saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Why all of a sudden did this become okay?
Yeah.
So we have to get protection for the NCAA so they can make a decision, because they made the decision that he couldn't play. And then it was overturned in his state. And you're dealing with a huge contract that he came from Cincinnati. What happens to that money?
Mhm.
Is it written in the contract if he doesn't play, he doesn't get the money? You're looking at a whole lot of different things here. You're looking at maybe a playoff team with him, maybe not without him. How much money is that going to impact? And I thought when Josh Pate said last week that if we lose the NCAA and each of the conferences start being their own ruling body, it's going to be a little bit different when they're trying to rule on Vince Young at Texas, and we're going to bring $100 million in if Vince plays. We're not if they don't. And that commissioner's got to sit there and say, ooh, I had the NCAA to hide behind before. Right now, I've got to make a decision that kills our conference. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on right now in our world that's got to get fixed, and it's got to get fixed soon. And I think this is great timing for the NCAA question and Congress and antitrust and collective bargaining, because, all right, we just saw maybe the biggest case, one of the biggest cases in the history of the NCAA. It's gambling. They have a total rule. You can't gamble and you can't play. Saw it 3 years ago, but now they get overturned. So what are they worth?
Yeah.
Why is there an NCAA? So now what happens? So they're going to appeal it back. So does he not get to play again? Or what's going to happen if something doesn't change with Congress by July 10th when they break for the summer?
And this is why they need to watch the Stampede.
There's no question.
But in the end, I mean, you guys know this better than anyone. I mean, and this is everything we've talked about, from NIL to the portal to this. Everything is money driven. We talked about losing the championship game for the SEC. Why do they want to keep it? It's a $100 million event. All of these things are money driven, and most of these decisions are money driven decisions. And so that's why we're seeing all the changes to the playoff. Oh, well, this schedule doesn't work. Well, sorry, it's TV. I mean, they're going to put it on TV.
You're going to make money, period. That's the easy part. What we talking about? Let's have some rules and regulations and stick to it, please.
And there are so many people that are involved. Obviously, we're going to see what the Big 12 says, that the ADs are going to meet, the presidents are going to talk. The Big 12 is going to have to make some kind of decision on this Brett Yormark has obviously come out with a statement that he's not real happy with this. Obviously, right off the start. So the Big 12 can make a decision on this too and decide what they're going to do. But there are a lot of people. Cody Campbell's heavily involved with the Protect College Sports Act, and now he's in a war of words with 80 different people, but with a lot of different people. And one of the Charlie Baker came out and said there's no better example of why targeted intervention from Congress is necessary. Well, last week he was against the Protect College Sports Act. And so Cody Campbell's like, well, you can't say you're against it and then come run into Congress for help for this.
Stick with it.
But everybody has their agenda. I think in the end, everybody wants, like Coach said right off the top here, with Cody Campbell, his best interest is Texas Tech. Yes, he wants what's best for college sports, but he's trying to defend both sides. So what do you guys think the intermediate answer is to what should happen with Brendan Sorsby? Do you think he should not play this year? Do you think they go a different avenue with this? What are your guys' thoughts?
For me, he
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Coach.
No, go ahead.
For me, he shouldn't play.
All year.
Okay. He shouldn't play. He just got to be made an example. And this is why. Only reason I'm saying this, and I'm not saying because it's him.
Yeah.
But it's multiple people and players and coaches and it's time for college football to put their foot down and don't slap nobody on the hand. I get that we want to win and this and that, but it's time for what I've been saying. It's time to hold people accountable. If it's a player, coach, agent, it's time to hold people accountable because they're going to keep doing it if we don't make nobody accountable.
It's going to get worse.
And I was just talking to one of my coaches and some other people this past weekend, LaDainian Thomas, and we all feel the same way. If in the NFL, when you make a mistake, you don't play. So the same structure they have, we got to put that structure into the college level that it doesn't matter if you Big 12, this, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. When you mess up, period. So especially when we're making money now. So
right.
You got to understand your consequences. And that's the message that has to be made, like Coach did to STAMPEDE, was I'm punishing you for not just now. I'm punishing you for the future so you don't do it no more.
Right.
That right there message is what we need right now.
And college athletes all over the country will think, well, I can gamble because if he can play, why can't I gamble? Coach, what do you think the answer is?
I feel for Joey McGuire because he's got a mess. Because it's really not even his decision.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He got a lot of bosses telling him what to do.
Mm-hmm. And
it's really public. And Vince just said it. But now if we let Sorsby play and I'm the head coach, what happens to the guy that gets the DUI tonight?
Mm.
Yep.
Do I suspend him for a game, but I let Sorsby play for gambling $90,000? So what happens to every rule, everything that we do moving forward? How do we make a decision when it wasn't near as big as this, but we're going to suspend him more than we did this? So it makes it very complicated. When I suspended STAMPEDE, I did it without even asking because I thought I wanted to treat all of these guys like they were my children. What would I do to my son if he broke in somebody and got without permission? What would I do to my son? So that's what I tried to do as a coach. And what I would have done in this situation is I wouldn't want my son gambling again. So to me, I would let him go to the supplementary draft, let him still play, try to help him, support him, pay for all of his counseling. I'd pay for everything to try to help him. I wouldn't throw him out, but I don't see how you're going to have rules if the Iowa State kid 3 years ago couldn't play and now this guy can.
Yeah.
That's like Vince said, we don't have rules.
That's not the message that we're trying to put out there.
Yeah.
No, so if this doesn't get back to overturned by the NCAA and Congress doesn't give the NCAA help, I think we see huge changes coming up because it can't stay. It can't stay like it is.
Yeah, I think over the next, I would say hour. I was going to say 3 days. And I'm like, over the next hour, things are going to change. And I'm sure we're going to hear much more about
Coach
this.
will be text messaging
and
us.
we will. Coach text messages us all the time. And I love it.
He
because
keeps thanks, Coach, for keeping us updated
Yeah.
what's going on, Coach.
Yeah, it's perfect. We have a great text message chain, and it's usually Coach sending us, "Hey, here's what's going on in college football." Vince sending us, "Hey, here's where I'm golfing." Here's the most
I would
pretty
be
place on earth.
I'd be literally cooking and I'll see something. I'll be stop cooking and read the whole text. I'll be like, "Thanks, Coach. I needed to read that."
That's a fake account.
Yeah. We have had a few fake accounts somehow cross our text message chain.
So thanks, Coach.
But yeah, no, we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys always listening. We have so much more to get into on this Brendan Sorsby situation and college football in general as this continues to progress, and we'll do more of that next week. For now, though, Vince, Coach, thank you guys as always. Let's do it again next week.
Hey, you look good out there. I'm on my way.
Yeah. Let them straight, Vince. Keep your head down.
For Mack Brown and Vince Young, I'm Bob Ballou, hoping to get on the golf course with these guys soon. Thank you guys as always for listening to this edition of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.